Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, on today's show, of course, I wanted to deal with Star Citizen and some of the things I like about Star Citizen, what I'm hopeful for with Star Citizen, and then we'll deal a little bit with capital ships towards the end because I alluded to that too on Friday. But first off, I wanted to talk about Star Citizen. Now, there's a lot of people who hold very positive opinions of Star Citizen, myself included. And then there are people who more or less outright attack Star Citizen any chance they get. Now, sometimes because I look at ships and I say, this ship is broken, this ship doesn't work, this ship doesn't make sense, people think that I'm attacking Star Citizen or I'm attacking somebody at Star Citizen. No, I'm not. Now, there certainly are people out there who think that Chris Roberts is the digital Jesus of our time. And then there are definitely people out there who think that they're like, oh, you guys are all idiots. You're just getting scammed, and Chris Roberts is just using your money to fuel the most epic cocaine bender of all time. You're dumb. But the truth is, the reason why I'm so hopeful with Star Citizen is, and I think also the reason why Star Citizen has hit like 113 going on 114 million now is, I think, in as much as it's the Chris Roberts name and the Wing Commander pedigree, it's also like a subconscious desire on the part of gamers for bigger and better games. Certainly if you look at a lot of the games that are out now, and a lot of the games that I play, they're certainly fun games, they're entertaining games, but they're limited. They're limited in their scope, and I can't help but when I play them, I find myself going, I wish this was better. I wish there was more. I wish there was more depth to this game. It's good, it's fun for now, but it could be so much more. And I wish that the developers would take more of a chance with this game. Now, certainly, like when developers take a chance, they got to spend a lot more money. Now, here's a perfect example: Homeworld Deserts of Carrick. Homeworld Deserts of Carrick is a fantastic game. It's an RTS based in the Homeworld series, but they also have the spaceships. Now they've got the planetary side stuff and they got the stuff up in space. Why not combine both and make an MMO? It just seems so self-evident. You have all the assets already. You could use somewhat of an EVE Online type format, and it could be amazing. Like, there are already established games out there that prove that there's a hunger for this game, that there would be a market for this game, and all you have to do is introduce some original gameplay elements, look for what people want, and try to deliver on some of those points, and you could build a successful game. Now, of course, there's risk involved in that, but I think, when you look at a game like Star Citizen, 113 million in funding, obviously there's a desire for bigger and better games, and there's a desire for developers to think big, but that's just my opinion. Now, Armored Warfare. Armored Warfare is another excellent example. Now, Armored Warfare, I love driving tanks, and I love playing Armored Warfare. I've already gotten to tier 10 here with my Challenger 2 ATDU, and I love it. But whenever I play this game, one of the things that always comes to mind is, why can't there be more? Why can't, instead of being in this little arena, why can't it be like a whole zone? This uses the Cry engine. Why not build like a whole huge zone where I have to visit depots to get repaired and rearmed, and then I can go intercept convoys that are randomly generated, dynamic content, dynamic missions within the area, so I can really kind of get the idea of traveling around in a living, breathing world instead of just mission after mission or arena session after arena session. Why not make the game bigger? But obviously, apparently, the CryEngine doesn't support such large environments, right? GTA, another wonderful example. GTA is certainly fun. It really, really is. when you run somebody over with a tank, that's a very special and magical moment, to say the least. But when you first started playing GTA 5, the area was pretty huge. But for those of you that played the original San Andreas, it's really not that big. In fact, by the time you get on to this island, you realize how small it is very quickly. I mean, they even sell a private jet in this game that you can fly around with your friends. Where are you going to go? There's nowhere to go. And then that's when we come back to Star Citizen. I mean, that's why I'm so excited about Star Citizen, is because finally there's a game developer who's thinking big, who's not sitting there and thinking, okay, we got to make a title for PC, but we also have to be able to port it to PS4 and Xbox, and so we got to have fairly limited scope, because we've got to remember that the Xbox, the PlayStation people, they only got the little controllers, and I think that limits PC gaming. When you look at all the esports that are going right now, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, two big ones, and all these other game companies, certainly Wargaming, trying to really establish themselves in esports, and all these companies trying to do that, and they're doing it with these little arena games. And there's obviously there clearly is a market for that, but I mean, to me, PC gaming should be so much more than that. I mean, even if you look at a game like Heroes of the Storm or StarCraft 2 or something like that, I look at those games, whenever I play them, I'm thinking, I want to play the MMO. I don't want to play StarCraft 2 RTS. I'm past RTSs now, really, somewhat. And I would really rather have a StarCraft 2 MMO. I just want a bigger, better game, and I think that's why Star Citizen is where it is because so many people are like, no, I want a bigger and better game, and I think that's why people are putting so much money behind Star Citizen, because they're kind of going, yeah, there are all these other games in my Steam library, and they're all fun, but they all seem to have just little bits and pieces of what I want, whereas Star Citizen, I mean, it just seems to tick so many boxes. It's a huge environment. There's so many things that you can do within that environment. And that's what I want. I want a game that it's not just I can have fun little play sessions with, but I want a game that I can really lose myself in. That I can just sit there and I can sit down and play it and just go, holy crap, did 3 or 4 hours just go by? I mean, to give an example, the first time I played the very first Homeworld game, Homeworld 1, and we're going way, way back now. The first time I played that, I remember I went, I bought it, I brought it home, loaded it up on my PC, and I started playing, I think around probably, the sun was just setting, so it was probably about 8 o'clock, somewhere in and around there. And the story was just so good and so big that apart from occasional trips to the kitchen to get something to drink or to get something to eat and then come back and play, I remember literally looking out the window and hearing birds chirping and seeing this, blue light off towards the east and going, oh my God, did I literally just play this game all night? It was that transformative, or that huge of an experience. It was an experience that just drew you right in, and like you lost all track of time. And ever since then, there have been games, other RTS games that have been certainly fun and interesting, but I mean, that really was kind of like this transitional moment where it was someone took all the stuff that everyone else was doing and then just took it to the next level in a big way, and it was amazing. And when I look at a lot of PC games, even the stuff that I download on the Steam store and whatnot, that's one of the things that always dogs me when I'm playing other games. Is it's just like, this could be more. I wish you could do this. I could play Eve Online, but I wish I could walk around on the bridge of my ship. I wish I could man different stations. I wish I could get more people onto my ship. I can play Armored Warfare, but I want to fight in a war zone and not fight in like a little arena match or a little closed little scripted mission. I want to go out and see the world. I want to, travel across miles and miles of sand dunes or across like vast plains and stuff like that. But it's not there. It's game developers who are kind of always thinking small and thinking limited. Whereas with Star Citizen, it's just like, well, we can do this, but we can also do that, and we can also do that. A while ago, I was looking at Star Citizen, and I was trying to think of a topic for the Piracy show. And I happened upon the Genesis Starliner, which I hadn't looked at in a long, long time. So I went back and I read the original sale article, and I wanted to familiarize myself with it. And then I remember kind of going all the way down to like the proposed variants. And one of them was the Star Lifter, which was the military transport. And on the one hand, I'm thinking the Star Lifter, and on the other hand, I'm thinking, well, what would be really cool is if you had a bunch of friends who played FPSs, and they were kind of getting sick of their FPSs that they were playing, and you were playing Star Citizen, you owned a Star Lifter, you owned that version of a Starliner. You could say, hey, like, why don't you guys come play Star Citizen with me? We can all hop onto my Star Lifter, and I can take us around. We can be like a little mercenary squad, and we can hire ourselves out to larger orgs that need people to take over space stations for them, or storm Vanduul ships or whatnot, and we could just kind of go and FPS around in space, and I can fly us around as like this little private army. That would be cool. I mean, it'd be almost sort of like the movie Aliens, you remember? I mean, you would just kind of go around, you'd have your troops, you just drop them where you needed them, do whatever you had to do, and then get out. And I mean, if you weren't able to accomplish the mission, then I guess you could always just take off and nuke the site from orbit, because it is the only way to be sure. Well, okay, well, you really can't nuke the site from orbit, but I mean, what I'm talking about is that Star Citizen is a framework that would allow for things like that. But it would also allow you to, say, go off and salvage. It would allow you to go off and mine. It would allow you to run missions as an escort fighter for haulers. When you start to sit down and actually think of the width and the breadth of all the things that you can do within Star Citizen, the stuff that we've been told, the stuff that have specific ships or specific items in the game that are going to be supported, it's enormous. Now, obviously, it's going to take a long time to make, but it is absolutely crazy how big this game is going to be. And so that's kind of why I've put so much money behind it. I mean, I like Chris Roberts. I definitely like watching his interviews, and they're, he's a fun guy to watch, and the whole community team, they're fun to watch, and they're, listen to them talk about stuff. But at the same time, like, I look at, I know a lot of people love Chris Roberts because of Wing Commander. Me, not so much Wing Commander, more Privateer. I loved Privateer because it wasn't just being within the framework of these missions. It was go out and do whatever you want. And that's what I liked about Privateer, and that's why I've put so much money in the game. Is it's not so much Wing Commander, it's the memories of playing the original Privateer that, I was like, okay, definitely. Privateer, like a truly next gen Privateer MMO, yeah, I would totally sign up for that in a heartbeat. I wish we still had the Centurion. I wish we could have that in game. That would be amazing. But I think that's why a lot of people have funded Star Citizen, is because of, they just want bigger, better games, and so many game developers are not taking chances. They're playing it safe. They're all trying to jump into the esports market, and a lot of these games are, I mean, you just pick them up for a week or a month and then you're sick of them and you want to go move on to something else. And Star Citizen isn't going to be that type of game. Star Citizen is going to be something like completely, it's going to be some like next level shit. And it's going to take a while to make it, but I think that it is really going to be the next big moment in gaming when game developers realize that it's not so much about just making a bunch of Me Too titles, but it's about really building experiences and not just trying to clone League of Legends. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on Star Citizen. That's why I back Star Citizen. That's why I'm so bullish on Star Citizen. Now, the other topic that I kind of alluded to on Friday was having to do with capital ships, and more or less specifically the Idris. Now, as you know, in 2.4, we're supposed to get the I was about to say Genesis Starliner again. We're supposed to get the Starfarer Gemini and the regular Starfarer as flyable in the next patch. So that's huge to have those two capital ships in. Now, one of the things that I'm sure is lingering in the back of a few people's minds out there is whether or not we're going to see Squadron 42 this year. And I think that if we're not going to get Squadron 42 this year, if somehow it just doesn't make the date, then I think that it would be a good idea for CIG to let the Idris out and let players fly around on the Idris. I think that that would be a good idea. I think that there's always going to be that kind of element or that group of people that are going to kind of go like, oh well, Squadron 42 didn't make 2016, meh, 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 meh. And I make jokes about it certainly, but it's going to take as long as it takes, right? And we just have to deal with that. But I think that definitely if the Idris got out and people were able to play around with the Idris, I think that that would definitely be kind of like CIG showing off just a little tidbit of what you're going to get in Squadron 42 without really revealing any plot elements. I don't think it would really give anything away, because in the end it is a place setting in the game for for the story to unfold. And I think that all of a sudden having the Idris in the baby PU and having people able to fly around in them and having people able to duke it out between Idrises would be awesome. And it would definitely it would be really another way to kind of showcase what Star Citizen is capable of to all the other people out there, and to just kind of show them why these things take as long as they take. I think that it would be a good idea to let the Idris out, most especially if Squadron 42 isn't going to make it out this year. Now, of course, we can't really gauge whether or not that's going to happen because so much of it happens behind closed doors, and we're not allowed to see that yet. We get little snippets, we get little peeks, but we don't really get the whole thing. And I think that definitely if Squadron 42 is going to make it out this year, that we should see the Idris. I think that that would be a good idea, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, that is pretty much the show for today. I realize I rambled on and on about Star Citizen and why I'm so positive about Star Citizen, but it's just to reaffirm with certain people that I am in fact a Star Citizen supporter, and definitely put in more money than I originally thought I would, and more money than I will openly admit. But I think I did it because honestly I like to see game developers taking chances, and I think that it's time to demand bigger and better games and not just friggin' arena clones and shit like that. I think the PC is capable of so much more, and I'm glad that there's game developers now who are out there showcasing it. So yeah, those are my opinions. That was this week's show, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.